Now, from here, it's all about the action of the arms. Are you ready? Take off your jacket. So, it's all about the action of the arms. And so what that means is that from her elbows down, she's doing internal rotation. From her elbows up, she's doing external rotation. Internal, external. So it's like, so that she can create as much space as she can get here. And we've talked about a couple cases in a couple of different, not everyone's been here for everything, so that's why I'm going to be very comprehensive today. There are cases where the shoulder structure doesn't like downward dog because it's going to turn in too much, okay? We have cases, like me a little bit, where it's always in. And so it creates tension and stress. If you guys want to come in here and look at this, there's no way to sit still in this lecture, okay guys? So, if you see here, she's got a lot of space, a lot of relaxation here. She can really stay here for a long period of time. And what is also good about this is she's using her triceps, which is what you want. So, in, out, space, triceps. Her shoulders tolerate downward dog quite well. Okay, very easy for her. Come down. Let's see someone's shoulders who don't tolerate downward dog quite as well. Yeah. Why don't someone want to bring that a little bit closer for me? Just in case that would be helpful. I don't know much about that. Cool. Thanks. I'm going to lower it too. Hey. Your sweater for a second?
I don't have anything
that I can. Then never mind. Just leave it on. That's unusual. Most usually you guys wear those little tops,
I have a top that is small. I can.
Is it like a sports bra? That's fine.
Yes, great. I have a t-shirt here.
Okay, but I want to see your shoulders though. I actually want to see your shoulders. I don't want to see the shirt. That's fine. That's what everyone wears to yoga. Come on. That's a yoga outfit. Okay. It's small, but it works. It's actually perfect for the example. Okay. Now first, look. Your hands have to be perfect. Slightly turned down. Now let's watch. We're really here to see the example of the shoulders. Okay. Now come over here and look. Okay. Now you see this? That's a bunch of tension and a bunch of stress as a result of a shoulder structure that doesn't do what hers does. Hers doesn't really rotate the same way. It's got a different kind of a joint, okay? So in Nina's case, downward dog's never going to be like the most fun pose that's ever happened. It's not going to be effortless, not going to be like, woo, let's stay here all day long. But she can tolerate it, right? It's okay. It's just not like in Nina's case or my case where my shoulder structures tolerate it, okay? And so then it's fine. Okay, come down. Recover yourself. Right, come back. Now, let's do the rest of the downward dog. So, we talked about the arms. Look at her hands. Did I not tell you? Look. Look. You see? That's a quarter and almost a half an inch. She does this every day for the rest of her life. The right side of her body will be developed differently from the left side. This is not okay. So, that's why these lines are cool. If you don't have a line in your mat, see now she's gone the other way. Yeah, you really got to stare. You really got to analyze this stuff. If you don't have a line in your mat, then you use a line in the room. Like I would use this line, the wood floor. Okay? Now, neck relaxed. That's your game, right? Okay? And then the rest of this is all about the energy of the legs and the core. Okay? So she wants to be pulling herself this way, which is why this is one of the adjustments, which is to grab the hips with your forearms, not with your fingers, and begin to just pull a little bit towards you. Can someone grab me a strap, please? I want to show you another one. If you have a private lesson, I don't usually do this in public classes, but in the private classes or lessons I often do, nothing wrong with it in any case, but this is really nice. about tight hamstrings, let's review that. If she were coming at the top of a push-up, that means that she has tight hamstrings. Then we would come, tell her not to move her hands. We would bend her knees and pull her hips towards us. And then she would permanently, at this point, permanently meaning for months or years, do downward dog with her knees bent. Okay. The adjustments here, she didn't like it, but let's see someone who does like it, okay? Let me see a different downward dog. Come on. Anybody? Yeah, let's get back to here. Let's see if someone agrees that this is a good thing. Okay, so you would wrap your hand once so that you don't have to use your hand muscles. And then all you're going to do, lean back. Diego, what do you think? Hello?
I feel on the hamstrings, but it's not.
It doesn't matter if you feel it in the hamstrings. Do you like it? Does it feel relaxing? Does it feel
Yes.
like it's enjoyable?
Yes.
Okay, that's the question, right? It's really wonderful, really. You can, the student can stay there all day long. They feel great. Okay, it's just an adjustment. Giving you options here. Yeah. It goes right wherever it fits,
Okay.
as high up as it can, and then don't worry about it.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
stretches your back and it kind
There's a lot of stuff.
tension in my hand.
A lot of tension, yeah. And then you're doing the work and the student's not.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's come back, and I will finish the downward dog. The main adjustment that I want you guys to do is a massage behind the heart in a clockwise direction. Not counter, clockwise, yes. Just like a clock, okay? Because this is the way that chakras spin. According to the masters, the chakras spin clockwise, so we want to spin clockwise. You understand? You understand me? Anything you don't understand, you tell me. Yes? Seriously. Okay, now. So one hand can go here, a nice gentle massage. This is good. Okay, we also have this one, and then you could also do the same thing from this side and pull them up. It's always the same. This direction. Diagonal away from the hands. Okay? Mostly my favorite adjustment is this. Okay? Good. Rest. Downward dog. Go for it. When they take the one leg off the ground, right leg up. Okay. This is the Barbie foot. Yeah.
Los pies van,
No,
it's
you
not
do not
necessary
want,
to-
you don't want the heel on the floor. Let's do downward dog again. Very good. And then walk your feet forward and put your heel on the floor. If the heels are on the floor, you should walk your feet back so that they're not on the floor.
Why?
Always. Because if they're on the floor, that's it. Nothing else will happen. No more evolution. The calf muscle won't open anymore. Nothing else will happen. You're just sitting there now. But you move your feet back, now you're growing more. You're opening more. You know, it's another dimension for you. Downward dog really could have feet very far back and be correct. Come down for a second. I want to show you something really funny. Relax.
Entre
Yeah.
varios mejor. Y
No, I relax, but not there. I want to use the mic. And don't spill my juice, because that could easily happen. I'm going to show you something really funny. What I'm going to show you is an extremely advanced downward dog. But if someone were to do this in class, it would be completely wrong. Okay? But it is the most advanced downward dog that there is. Are you ready? Let's see it. That's it. Feet very far back, feet together, and just working. Extremely advanced, but if you were to see somebody normal do that, it would be wrong. Okay? That's just I'm just showing you the big picture of downward dog. We generally want this, upside down V. Okay? Shape. Okay? Good with downward dog for now? Okay? Let's talk about the variations now. Questions? Madeline?
No.
No? So the right leg up. And the whole thing here is the rest of this is downward dog, regular. This leg is up, You get the Barbie foot, and then you have the key alignment here is internal rotation of the top leg. Internal rotation top leg, Barbie foot. That's it. The rest is exactly like downward dog. Same adjustments, same anything.
El Barbie foot, o sea, es como
Okay, yeah,
así.
let's talk about Barbie foot. Come down. Okay. Barbie foot is when your toes point, your foot points, your toes flex. Yes. I want everyone to try this. Sitting down, yeah, sit down. And then point your foot, flex your toes, and feel how you connect to psoas. You feel that? This energetic continuity that is created. That's the thing. You're always working to access psoas. The Barbie foot is used whenever the leg is straight and off the ground. Straight and off the ground.
Cuando se usa el pie de Barbie cuando la línea es recta y la pierna está recta y
Fuera
y así.
When the leg is straight and off the ground. Yeah.
Sí.
So, Dani, otros examples. Warrior 3. Warrior 3 is straight and off the ground.
Okay.
What else?
Cuando se está haciendo también
Well, that is true, although it's not straight and off the ground, but we would use Barbie foot there, yes.
And you
That's
say
true, yes.
You say to your class, like, let's do Barbie foot, or
Once you say something funny like Barbie foot or mula banda or anything where nobody understands, you say it and then you define it. Barbie foot, that means you're gonna point your toes and point your feet and flex your toes and activate your foot. So yes, you can say it and then define it.
por ejemplo, cuando estás parada, ahí, ¿qué pasa? Los
In which
pies.
one? Para aquí. Yes, 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 absolutely. Headstand,
Y
handstands.
la crilla,
Kriya, what?
no sé, es
What?
la que estábamos practicando la semana pasada.
Antebrazo?
Ujú.
Yes,
Esa
yes,
también.
yes, yes.
Wow, es como le enseñan que es así.
Well,
Wow.
the fact of the matter is, in antebrazo, it doesn't matter because it's psoas. But the question is how to access psoas. And the best way is with that. Okay? But I don't care about Barbie foot in antebrazo. I don't think about that. I just think psoas. Okay?
Flex is not the same, of course,
No.
because flex is the
Exactly.
base.
Now flex is what you will use when the knee is bent.
Flex
This is
when the knee
full
bent.
flexion. Yes.
Okay.
Full flexion in cases like that, like reverse pigeon, like Janu Shirshasana, like this twist, anything where this knee is bent, you have to flex this foot completely. Pigeon. Yes, we're going to talk a lot about pigeon today. Yes, and the knee joint and the hip joint, all the injuries that happen from that. But there's still one more pose that uses Barbie foot that we haven't thought about yet. Yes, half moon. Okay? Just so that we're all clear about that stuff. Half moon, perfect example.
Half moon is in Barbie foot.
The top leg is for sure.
Yes.
For sure, yeah.
¿Cuál es half moon?
Ardha Chandrasana, media luna.
Ah,
Media luna, yeah? Good. Okay, now let's do the next downward dog with the knee bent and the hip open.
I have a question here.
Good,
before-
I like questions.
before-
Relax.
When we're doing the down facing dog, right? And you lift one leg. What happens to me is that I lift the leg and especially when we open the hip, like my elbows and my arms go different. One kind of bends and the
You
other
don't want
is
that.
straight.
Let's see it. Your turn. Your example.
Isn't this weird?
His piece.
So I lift and automatically like this one gets less, you know? And when I realize I have to correct it,
Yes, so correct it.
right?
Yeah, just keep it, well, you don't have to do that actually. That's you lift your leg up, you have to do that with your shoulders. That's more fun.
Okay.
But it is interesting, you're right. I mean, it is happening with you. Let me see something. Come down. I mean, let me know if it happens to me before I tell you not to ever do it again. But does it change a lot with me?
No.
I don't think so.
So it won't change with you either. Just keep your awareness on it.
Yeah.
Okay? In other words, you start in regular downward dog. You lift your legs slowly up. And you don't let anything change in your shoulders as you lift your legs slowly up, and see if you can play with the game. But it was a good awareness. The number one thing is awareness of your patterns. Once you're aware of your patterns, now you can address them. So it's super advanced to just start to notice that stuff in your self-practices. Really good. Okay, let's go look at that bend the knee thing. Okay, so but you gotta watch it, guys. You know, as a yoga teacher, getting kicked in the face is very easy. Okay? You can be knocked unconscious in certain situations. You gotta be really careful. Now, if she's gonna do this like everybody else does it, she's gonna flip her hip up like that. I wanna tell you about this. Okay. To do this pose this way for a moment or two, it's okay? Sure, why not? Stretch open a little bit. You enjoy that stretching fun. But this is not really the pose. The pose is really downward dog. Okay? Meaning the spirit of downward dog stays the same. She's not opening out like that. All the opening in the hip is coming from this joint by itself as she pulls. Okay?
So the hip traces the
Yes,
floor.
yeah, it's very deep, it's very strong, okay, but yet it's very square to the ground. Okay, this is correct. Now, has anybody ever seen this very commonly vinyasa? I'm sure you have. Relax for a second. This very common vinyasa sequence that comes from there, where they call flip dog, or they call it wild bang. Have you ever heard these names? Okay, I want to talk about this because it's very, very interesting what is happening out there with this. Do you know how to do it? And is it safe for you to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to show it, but we're showing what not to do first. And then I will show you what to do second. Okay? So, what not to do, you okay to do it? From downward dog, and then bend your knee and then flip into the foot dog. I don't teach this, I don't like this, I never do this, but this is really common, so I want to address this, okay? So she bends her knee and then they tell her to put your foot down and then do the wild bang. You seen this nonsense?
Yes.
Okay? Alright, good. Perfect. Thank gosh her shoulder structure is open enough to allow that to happen, and it certainly makes sense. Look at her downward dog. Look how open her downward dog shoulders are. She's got plenty of space in that joint. That is a very, very poor transition and not safe for 70% of humanity. This is where you break your shoulder joints. This is where you tear things. This is nasty. But the pose, wild thing itself, is not the problem. The problem is the transition. Now I want to show you, if you ever want to do wild thing for real, how to do it transitionally, intelligently. Okay, so now let's do it. Downward dog. Right leg up, bend the knee. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to do something similar to what you did before, but this time, when you put your foot on the floor, you're also going to put your butt on the floor. So you're going to kind of sit down. Start here with your knee bent like on. So, was your foot there? Here, okay, let's start again, because I messed her up. Bend the knee, open the hip. When the foot goes down, the butt goes down. Start here, on the butt down. Then go in with a wild thing. Then go back down to your butt. And sit down here. And then come back around. And then it can be done. I never teach it, I don't like it, and I won't ever probably teach it, but for the sake of safety and for the sake of completeness, so want to do it, you must please transition like that. Okay? Make sense? Okay. Okay, chaturanga, while we got her here, plank pose, her new favorite pose. Now, okay, so we want to come rest for a second while we describe. Tadasana, yeah? Remember Tadasana? Remember universal alignment? So that whatever I look like here, I want chaturanga to look like this. I do not want to do Tadasana like this, so I don't want my chaturanga to look like this, either upper or lower. I want it to be here. So we're looking for that kind of a feeling in the shoulders as if they're in a Tadasana kind of a position. Now let's see it. At the top of the push-up, she wants to keep her shoulders back and down. Really strong legs, really engaged core. Okay, that's fine. Top of push-up, no hyperextension of the elbows. At the bottom of the push-up, she wants to stay here. Okay, with her shoulders not below her elbows. I know, that's strong, huh? That's strong. That's new for her too, because before she was doing what everyone else does. You want to show us your old way? This is how everyone else does it. Dropping down more, she didn't want that. Dropping down more, hunching the shoulders forward, and then kind of looking like, I call it like a vulture, you know, like vulture energy. You know, vulture, the bird that, yeah. Okay. Now, so, plank, shoulders back, bottom push-up, shoulders even with the elbows, and that's fine. From there, she can go right into cobra without ever having to go down past that. You know, like when I do, not that I'm a perfect example of anything, but from the push-up to the cobra, I'm not gonna, I mean, if I want to lie down, I can rest, but my shoulders are always gonna be back and down. They're never gonna be hunched forward. I'm never gonna be doing a scarecrow vulture push-up.
The hands is behind the
Yeah, when we're talking about why girls do push-ups incorrectly, y'all know what the girl push-up is? I call it girl push-up because I don't see men do it. I see girls only do it. So come up, and if she were to have her hands here, and then try to do a push-up, it would only be in her neck. We don't want to show that. So if she brings her shoulders forward, then she's all now pecs and triceps, and that's good. Okay, does that make sense? Huh? Yeah, but you see, in your turn, because I'm watching you, you know, and you're every time. It doesn't matter if it hurts. Yeah, si duele, si no duele, it doesn't matter. You just push forward. So, top of the push-up, bottom push-up. Good. That's fine. Start working with that. Down, up. Yes, it's fine. Down, up. No lock. No lock. No hyperextend. Down. No hyperextend. And then rest. And then just relax. Okay? But work on that. Because si siempre haces la misma con las rodillas, no vas a fortalecer. Entonces, no, this is just fuerza creciendo. No, it's solo but no hyperextension. Yes. Okay, now come down, drop down. It's like this, maybe. If I were you, I would do this. I would go down, up, and then all the way down. But no knees. No. Yes. And then cobra. So that cada vez you are working on your push-ups. You understand the principle there? Because you don't want to just like some people, they're like oh, every time. Oh. No, you want to work on a little push-ups first. Anybody, you girls, who are not strong with your arms, like really strong, before you do cobra, in every sun salutation, self-practice, not in public, you should do 5 push-ups. Before every single cobra. You know how many push-ups that is? It's like 100. It's 100 push-ups a day. It's a lot of work. There, you build your arms, and then of course you build your core. We're not gonna pretend that you have an injury though. See, that's different. Tú tienes lesiones.
¿Tienes algo como una
No,
lesión?
si tengo acá, o sea, este dedito no me funciona porque el tendón se está reconstruyendo.
Okay.
Entonces, claro, todo ese pedazo.
Is weak. Is débil. Por eso. Okay. So you have another disadvantage. But it's okay. But your shoulders are okay. Hombros se siente bien.
Sí, el cuello no.
El cuello no. El lado, este lado.
Acá con la hernia.
Okay. Okay. And dolor. ¿Tienes dolor? Okay. I'm gonna massage. Okay. So that's chaturanga. Okay.
¿Puedo ver cómo haces desde chaturanga hasta la cobra? Todo para ver cómo esa transición.
Yeah, I'll let her do it and then I'll do it. I've got very challenged back bends for two different reasons, only one of which I told you. So she can go down, and that's how I would do it, yeah.
Y bajar la.
Yeah, back and then after, from the bottom, come to cobra, and then there, and then this. Okay, now she's here, let's talk about this pose while we're here. Okay. Yeah. So, heels in, roll in. Extremely common that they roll out. Try not to let that happen. In. Now, you know already that this is a back bend, so you better do the mini forward bend. Tailbone between the legs, belly in. That does not mean that you have to squeeze the gluteal muscles. That's not necessary. Okay? You understand? This is deeper than the gluteal muscles. They tell you squeeze your glutes. It's not squeeze your glutes. It's engage your psoas and tuck your tailbone between your legs. Okay? The glutes are just nearby, so they get recruited and incidentally, but we don't want that. So it's tailbone down, it's belly in, shoulders back and down, no hyperextension. And that's it. She's maximizing her experience in the opening of the front of her body. Some people like her, she is a good example, with a very flexible spine. I am the opposite example. She could bend her knees, both knees, and bring her head towards her feet. This is a variation. She's not warmed up and she's got no reason to do it, but this is a variation that sometimes I give in class.
Sí, tenemos la columna.
Yeah, I say like that, you know, if this is very easy and you have a lot of range of motion and you want to bend both of your knees, and then I will usually make a joke about myself at that point. You know, say, well, you know, if you have a body type much different from mine, you know, I always like to make people feel really comfortable by telling them that I'm limited. I'm severely limited. Just like most people, you know what I mean? Sure, I can do a few things really well, but there's a lot of things I can't do at all. Okay, Rose? Okay? And so I like people to know that I'm, you know, I like to share that fact. Okay. So that is the opening sequence. Okay? And that's sun salutations too, because that's all the same. Now we're going to move into standing poses. Okay? We're going to start with warrior one. And we're going to only talk about alignment, but we're going to talk about how we would touch people. I'm going to be doing a massage therapy talk this weekend, and I'm going to be telling you how making contact is the most important part of your job. Okay? It's not just telling them what to do with their left hand or their right hand. It's about, you know, giving them an experience of touch whereby you're making a communication with them through your hands. And I'll tell you what that communication is in another lecture. That's not today's talk yet. So warrior one. Let's do some warrior one. Alignment first, right? What do you know about the alignment of warrior one? What do you already know? Feet have to be the hips width apart. They are. Good. The hips are going to square forward. That's true. This knee's going to bend. Now let's talk about what you don't know. Okay? When this knee bends, it must always point to the outside. In yoga, never let a bent knee point in. Ever. Always out. Now, it's 90-degree knee. 90 degrees at the deepest. Right now it's close, but that's okay. She's got to stay here for a long time, and that gets very difficult. So this is fine. Perineal floor sealed. Very good one. Mula banda here. But here's the details, right? When this hip point comes forward, this one comes forward, this leg rotates out. Very interesting stuff happening here. Very, very intricate. Rest for a second, because I want to show this properly. You okay? Why don't we do the other side for a little balance? So this is kind of, it's almost like, remember in the downward dog, it was this goes in and this goes out. Remember this and this? It's not dissimilar. This is going to go forward, but then this is going to externally rotate, because the main point of this leg thing is this arch. There. See that? Just look very carefully, or try to imagine this arch. Unbelievably hollow and active as a result of the power of this leg's external rotation, but she still has to square forward. Okay? This is very detailed, but that's going to be correct. Okay, now switch sides again. Huh? Her back, slightly tailbone tuck in, perineal floor sealed, she sinks down as she reaches up. I'm going to adjust this pose. I'm going to come from behind. I'm going to put my hands on her ribs, maybe help her square forward a little bit without any force. And then I'll put my hands on her triceps and help her reach up a bit. That's usually it. Square and reach. But good rest. What would I do before I went to touch her hips or touch her arms? What would I have already done? No, I'm touching her there. That's going to be my touch in Warrior 1. I don't have to do the massage for that case. Good question. What I've already done before I went to adjust her.
Tell her what you're going to do.
That's another good answer, but not in this case. No, but that's a good answer. Yeah, because it's better than tell her what to do than to touch her and force her to do it. I've said that and I agree with that. But before I touch her, I will have already looked at her and seen that her feet are correct. I will have analyzed her structure first, especially her feet. Remember, this is alignment talk, so if the feet are not perfect, do not waste your time doing anything else. First things first. So we look at the feet then can help us make sure the hips are good, and the hips are good. Okay, now, because what I'm touching is up here, right? I'm touching stuff way away from her feet. So I got to make sure that's correct first. Go back to Warrior 1. Now, in my case, because I've taught 100,000 classes, I can tell from this angle whether somebody has their feet aligned or has their feet not aligned.
Yes.
But most people, from this angle ain't going to work. I've said this before, I'm repeating myself again, it has to be from this angle, that I can see the feet's width. Do you understand?
Como en diagonal.
I'm talking about the width of the feet, in the hips width. I can only see it from here because I'm talking about this way. You understand? If I'm over there, I can't see it as well. Do you understand me? So it's all about the angle that you're looking. Having fun over there. Okay. That's Warrior 1. Humble Warrior. I'll do Warrior 3 in a minute. Let's do Humble Warrior while we're here. Humble Warrior, everybody, is exactly the same as Warrior 1, except the rest of the torso. Now what's very common here, and we don't want to see it, is people kind of doing it like this to the side. Okay? And you gotta keep squaring forward. Now, at the deepest part of this, she'll sink down deep, her shoulder to the inside of the knee. Some people have such a range of motion here that this is not their edge. Their edge, not me, but their edge is ear to the ankle. Ear to ankle, don't try it. Some people get that far down. Doesn't matter what they do. We know physical stuff doesn't matter, but those are options. The key is don't put the shoulder on top of the knee, get it on the inside of the knee. Okay, obviously this is not a lower back pose.
Fred, I have a question. If there's a person that cannot put the shoulder inside the knee, is it okay if that person like do it like on the
Everything is okay if it's impossible for them to do the other thing. Yeah. Everything is good as long as they're safe. Is it safe? It's good. You know, everyone's got different bodies. I'm a 65-year-old guy or anybody who's been working at a desk his whole life. They're not going to look like any of this stuff. They're going to do their best, and you're not, as long as they're not hurting themselves, you're going to say, great job. Come back tomorrow. Well done. Okay? You're not going to, relax for a second. Let me tell you this. Most people, will you fill this for me, please? Most people believe that beginners in yoga, yeah, please, thank you. Most people believe that beginners in yoga want to be corrected all the time. Oh yeah, no this and that. Like they want the attention. That's not true. Beginners in yoga, they don't want to be the center of the class. They don't want to have all the attention on them. They don't want to feel like they're doing everything wrong. So, it's what I call strategic adjustments. You're going to go to them when you have to, because it's urgent, like it's not safe. There's something very not good about that. Then you go, oh, okay, hey, why don't you do this? Is it? But as long as they're not hurting themselves and they're kind of in the flow and they're doing their thing, you're not going to worry about little things. Like, oh, you should sink deeper, or oh, you should do this, or your arm should be up. No, let them relax, let them have fun. Because if you give them too much corrections, they're not going to have fun. They're going to feel like they're doing everything wrong. You understand this? So you give them the feeling, hey, you're just one in the group. You did great today. Well done. And then over the weeks, you say, hey, okay, I need you to straighten your leg a bit more, or hey, I'll like stance, or hey, make sure your elbows, give the details when you've seen that they're going to keep coming back. But they're not going to keep coming back if they didn't have fun. Does that make sense? It's like when beginners finish the class, that's usually the only question I ask. Did you have fun? Did you have fun? That's all I want. Because if you had fun, you're coming back. Coming back, now we got you. Okay? Warrior 3 is, just do the one side of your hamstring is okay. So, which is your hamstring? Your funny hamstring is there? Okay, so then this down, that up. Okay. Warrior 3, it's like a capital letter T. You understand that? A capital letter T. Bridge there. So, in an ideal world, never lock the knee. This is not Bikram. We don't play lock the knee games. She's kind of bending forward too much here. She wants to be up straight. Bend arms forward. In an ideal world, she really wants to get strong here. This is also, as I know, that funny. Now, this is the internal rotation. This is a very challenging pose. To do Warrior 3 correctly for 5 breaths, really, 5 breaths, not 5 moments. If you don't sweat, you're not doing it right. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's not just like, no, it's the amount of activity in your whole body, and you're breathing deep, and you do that for a full minute. Because 5 breaths, everyone, is a minute. You know that, right? It's a full minute. You know how long a minute is?
I didn't know that.
Inhale to 6,
Breath per minute.
exhale to 6. That's 12 times 5, 60.
Oh, okay, with that okay.
In an ideal world. Now, we don't teach that kind of lengths because that's intolerable to people, but I want you to know in your self-practice, there's no hurry. 5 breaths is 5 breaths. And these are 5 long and deep breaths. Okay? Self-practice is it's not to be compromised, right? In classes, we might have to go a little faster because we want to get through everything. Okay? Good. So that Warrior 3, okay? Hands to the heart is fine, and arms in front of you is fine too. There's a lot of variations. They can do the arms at the sides, they can do the airplane, you can place your fingers behind the back. It's all fun.
The variation with the leg straight is not correct.
The leg leg straight, correct. The leg hyperextended, not correct. Locked and hyperextended, not correct. Like
I
Bikram.
saw you because in Bikram, with this leg is totally straight.
It's not only totally straight, it's locked. They actually tell you to lock your knee in Bikram. They want you to lock it. They want you to hyperextend it. This is one of the key problems, alignment, structural problems with the Bikram system.
Okay.
It's one of the few, but it's one of the biggest ones.
Okay.
Lock your knee, lock your knee, lock your knee, lock your knee.
The instruction is block your knee, block your knee, block your knee.
Can you grab me the
In every
knee
moment.
behind you, the leg? Just let him do that.
In every
And why
moment.
do they tell you to block your knee?
I don't understand. Bikram is so retarded about that.
Yes.
Listen, is not yoga, that's why. Bikram is not yoga. It's something else. It's a physical exercise system designed by a very interesting character. Now, look, you have to understand you have muscles that are running through your structure. Muscles, tendons, ligaments, the whole thing. So, if you were to do locking your knee, this is lock your knee. And then you lock your knee, and then all your body's weight dropping down into your knee. How can anybody teach this? Because if I'm doing this, I can promise you one thing. Not one muscle will be used. Why would you need to use a muscle when all of the weight is just yeah, exactly. You see this? And this is the elbow in downward dog. All day long, it's ridiculous. So amongst the many other issues that I have with the Bikram system, and I can speak for about 20 minutes straight only on the issues I have with it, this is structurally one of the biggest ones. Okay? So yes, you want to keep it what we call micro bent. This is that whole idea of the micro bend. And the micro bend is somebody who would have been hyperextending. They just go like that. Now they feel this as a bend. And they feel it like that. And then they have to then engage around that with their muscles and keep it nice and tight. And that's what you want, right? But to the observing teacher, this leg is straight. To the observing teacher, it's straight. To the student, it's a micro bend. Because anything to not allow this in any joint, we just find no value in that. Many people have hyperextensions. We're not going to say it's a pathology or it's a problem. It's not. It's just completely common. However, doesn't mean that we want to be doing this for the rest of our lives and deteriorating our joints even more. There would be no value to that. Okay? Is this fair enough? This is good stuff. I really like this. Okay. Thanks, Shabby's right? He really sacrifices for the team, you know what I mean? Okay, so side plank. Okay, we're just going to go right through it. Side plank. I tend to not physically adjust Warrior 3. Physical adjustments of Warrior 3 I tend not to do because if they're on one leg and you start pushing them or touching them and they're on one leg, you're basically just going to knock them over. Okay? So there are cases when you will adjust one-legged poses, but you will be there to support them. So with Warrior 3, I usually just tell them what to do. You know, maybe it's something gentle, but if you touch someone in Warrior 3, you almost got to keep touching them the whole time so they don't fall. Okay? Now, look, hyperextension, no thanks. Okay? Slight micro bend, yes. Hand under the shoulder. Hand under the shoulder. Okay? Now, we always, and I want to make this point, I made this point to the night group last night, and now it's time to make it to the day group. Why do we teach this pose first? With the knee down. This is good. The knee's going to be slight. This is perfect. Don't move. It's slightly, like 2 inches forward of the hand. See, the hand is here, but the knee is forward a little bit. It's not in line. If her knee was in line with her hand, she would fall over. This is what's giving her a little triangulation. This is a perfect example of what you are teaching the public and exactly how to demonstrate it with perfect energy, except for the hyperextended elbow. Okay, now, rest for a second. Why do we teach that version first and then both legs extended second? And I want to be clear about the way that we present poses. I said this yesterday and I'll repeat it again now. You could teach this stuff in two ways. You could say, option number one of teaching it, you could say, okay everybody, side plank. Extend both of your legs straight. Take your opposite arm up to the sky and look to your top hand and 5 breaths. And if you can't do that, put your knee on the floor. That's one way of teaching it, and most people do it that way. If that's too difficult for you, if that's too much for you, if you're not strong enough for that, and make everyone feel bad. And I prefer to do it the other way. Knee down. Do. That's perfect. Hey, if that's too easy for you, go ahead and opposite your legs. You see the psychology of this? Make everyone feel at home, everyone feel comfortable. No one feel like, oh, I couldn't do that pose that way, and so maybe I'm not good enough. We never let that happen. We always teach the simple pose like it's perfect, and I mean perfect. Then we introduce, like invite, hey, that's so easy, fine, okay, go and do the hard one, good for you. You're not advanced because you're doing something, more difficult physically. You're not better than the person next to you. I'm not going to pretend that you are. Okay? Good. Warrior 2. Go back to side plank just for one moment. Just one moment. The only adjustment I do in side plank is usually touch the top hand. Help them lift the top hand up. Help them feel that. Obviously, I will already have analyzed the rest of the body, but nothing else really to do. Okay, you can always touch here, but I usually just touch the top hand as I'm walking by. Walk. Okay, good. Now warrior 2 next. Okay. Now, warrior 2, you already know a few things, correct? You know about the alignment of the feet. Now, that foot's not absolutely straight. Alright, we have a bisection of either the heel to the arch or the heel to the heel. They're both seem to be correct. I tend to do heel to heel myself. That's in my own little world. This foot should be turned in more so that it's on an inward angle. I do not use numbers. I do not say 45 degrees or any kind of mathematical constructs. I just don't use them. I don't like them. But it's probably closer to 30 degrees in than anything, okay? But it's in. It has the same arch as the warrior 1 because of the same strong leg to the same hollow arch. Is this all okay so far? This is very important, what you're doing with your feet and your legs here. Now, if I'm going to adjust this pose, it's going to be always from behind the person and basically always low down to the ground, maybe even sitting down. But what I want to do now, because this is the idea, is that she wants to do an external rotation with this leg. She wants to do an external rotation with this leg. This is really strong. So out, but then after she's doing that, or I should say while exactly the same time she's doing that, she wants to go in and in. And deeply tuck her tailbone between her 2 externally rotating femurs. And that's why Warrior 2 is the premier hip opening standing pose. That premier hip opening standing pose because of this and that. Now what's the adjustment? It's what I just did. It's out. I'm going to show you a few adjustments here. Why don't you change sides? But do that by face me. So now, the alignment on this is pretty simple, and I'm going to start getting to some interesting things. Look, as long as her knee has not crossed her ankle, it's okay. Okay? She might be able to go deeper, but it's still safe. It's still safe as long as she doesn't have her knee crossing her ankle. Now, I'm going to be from behind, and my adjustment would be to help her rotate external, and then with my fists, not with my fingers, my fists, scoop her tailbone between her legs and her belly in. Like I'm literally tucking her tailbone in, but I'm using only my fists. You never use your fingertips in a zone of personal space. Okay? You can use the back of your hand or the this. You're going to grab their wrist. You're going to put your hand at their hip point. And you're going to pull them back. It's like, toot, toot. This would be a great boomerang shot, right? Toot, 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 toot. Okay, see that? Okay, that's that one. Now, the other adjustment, I can just come around here. I can always touch the heart, but I'm mostly interested in the legs. Okay, good. Relax. That's warrior two. Getting a workout today. Okay, now we're going to get into, in the same way we're a downward dog with tight hamstrings situation, if you teach yoga, you're going to see that every single class for the rest of your life. You're going to have to make that adjustment on people forever. They're going to be pushed forward, you're going to bend their knees and put them into a better downward dog. If you teach public class, every single class, at least one person, you'll have to use that. Okay. In the same way, this next thing that we're going to talk about is equally common as a mistake. Okay, we're going to now talk about side angle pose. Let's see it. And this is, so all these are common questions in your homework. We'll go over all the alignment questions together, at some point soon to make sure that they've all been covered. But these should be covering everything. And this question asks, what's the most common mistake in side angle pose? Okay, that's a question in your homework, and we're going to answer it though. Now, simple enough, the most common mistake in side angle pose is that the hip is sticking out of the side of the body. Now in her case, it's very slight. It's really not happening so much, but it is a little bit. So you can sink deeper and flatten it out even more. Now, I want you to bring your feet closer together and then sink down. This, here, I want everyone to see this. This is what the whole world looks like, including all of you. Okay? I've been waiting for this day to correct you guys because it was going to just have to be redundant. I was going to correct you every single day, I didn't want to. Plus, I wanted to have fun. Just like everybody else. Now, stay where you are. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter if it's the forearm down or if it's the hand on the inside of the foot. It's always going to be the same thing, and I'm going to tell you what's happening here. When the feet are too close together, the hip sticks up. Every time the feet are too close together, the hip sticks up. Now, yeah, the hip, yes. It's more than that. It's out of line, fuera de línea. So come to this angle, arm over your ear. You see? It should be a straight line, but it's not a straight line because the feet are too close together. Now watch the adjustment. Feet back, feet back, feet back, sink deeper. Done. You see it? Can you see it? Because it's important to see the angle. Okay? So all we had to do to fix that was have them bring the legs wider apart and then sink deeper into the space. Okay? Lena, you remember me adjusting you on this one? Okay? Yes, so let's do it again. Switch sides. Switch sides. The first thing you will tell them, because there's two instructions.
Yes.
The first thing is you're going to say, widen your feet. The next thing you're going to say is sink into the space you created. Okay, so they made space and they sink into it. But you see now her knee has gone a little bit past the ankle. That means this foot should go forward an inch. That's enough so that it does not go past the ankle. And yet this is still straight. Okay? So it doesn't, all the variations are the same. So you can put her hand on the outside of the foot, it's the same thing. And then if she brings her feet too close together, step your feet forward, and it's the same thing. You see it? It's the same situation. Now, come up for a second. Relax. Why does everybody do it? Do you have a question already?
Yeah, the hips, should go
in line to the side body. It should be one straight line. And when it's not, and the hip is up, it's because the feet are together.
I'm thinking about the...
They should also be in line that way. Yes, they should also be opening up, not closing down.
Okay.
That's also true. Yeah. Now, why does everybody do it wrong? That's kind of the important question for me. Why does everyone do it wrong? The reason is very simple. It has to do with Warrior 2. And because you could do Warrior 2 with your feet short and it's safe, that's the problem. I mean, that's the problem. That's why. Somebody doing Warrior 2 like this, they're dangerous. I wouldn't correct them. I wouldn't. I mean, I'd correct them for the next pose, but if they were a beginner and they were Warrior 2 and they're doing this, I would just walk right by them. This is safe. They're doing great. Tell them to breathe deep. It's fine. But then if they go from here to side angle, it's automatically wrong. That's the problem. The problem is with Warrior 2, it's okay, but with side angle, it doesn't work. Does that make sense, everyone, as to why it's so common? How to address it and what's going on? Okay. Do Warrior 2 with your back to them, so face the camera. Okay, and put your hand on the inside of your foot.
Inside.
Inside, yeah. So now we're doing this variation, okay? And we're talking about binding the pose, okay? So to bind the pose, she needs to get her armpit to her knee. And hold on, this is the common thing. The common thing is to bind it around the butt. No, no, no. Not even this either. What she's about to do, not even this either. This is still the butt. What she really wants to do is come all the way to here. And then she wants to grab this wrist. Turn, give me your hands. Like that. Did you feel what I did with you? Try to do it yourself. Okay, grab the top wrist with the bottom hand. There. And then she wants this arm to straighten as she opens up. This is very strong stuff. If the range of motion is there. Okay? Relax. Careful. Is that tough, huh? Okay, rest. Rest. That's the bind in an ideal world. The bird of paradise, you've seen it. Normally I just do it with the knee bent. Can you do bird of paradise? On that one. On the side that's safe for you to do it. So from the bind, obviously this would all have been done well, but we're just going to scoop that for now. Correct. She opens up first, straightens the arm over time. It's really hard to straighten the top arm. And then she walks forward, steps off the bound leg, and keeps the knee bent. Some people have like the most open hamstrings in the world. They're like ballerinas. They can just straighten their leg all the way. Good for them. Yeah, here's an example. Okay? It's fine. It's an option. But most people would not have the hamstrings to allow that, so I don't even teach it as like an option. I teach this as the pose. Okay? And then some people that are like the Cirque du Soleils and the open hamstring people, they can do whatever they want. Okay? Good. Okay, so that's all that. Make sense? Okay. Now we're going to talk about lizard lunge, pigeon, and the hip joint and half lotus pose before we finish the standing poses, okay?
Ay, pero un momento.
Yeah.
Cuando estábamos haciendo esta,
Side plank.
esa,
Yeah.
yo por ejemplo, yo nunca pude pasar el pie para acá.
Did you just say nunca?
Pues,
But now you're doing it?
sí, no, pero mira cómo ponen los
Oh, that's
pies.
okay. Yes. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, relax. Can you do this at that pose? With the feet, okay, both legs straight. The feet, you can have one inseam and the other, it's okay, but also good is this one forward. That's also very good, okay? There's also another, few options. This is another good one. An arm up. Other arm up. No, arm up, yeah. I like this one a lot, okay? It's another great example of side plank. Okay? There's even one more I'll show you just for fun. This leg here, and this leg there. All the way perpendicular. Is this your hamstring? Okay. Okay, yeah. So then all the way perpendicular. Yeah. And this is another variation. These are all side plank variations in time that you can give. Okay? But just to share with you that step the foot forward is fine. Okay? Good, relax. Okay. I'm going to talk quickly about lizard lunge because that's very easy to talk about, but then we're going to talk about pigeon and half lotus and hip joint and the knee injuries in yoga. Okay? So go ahead and do on the side that's okay for you, lizard lunge. Lizard lunge is not complicated. Put the forearms down. This knee can be up or down, it's the same thing. And the whole thing is make sure the knee is over the ankle. That's lizard. Simple enough. No lower back. This is not a lower back pose.
That knee is facing where?
This knee is over the ankle. It's not being pushed out.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of that. I say keep it over the ankle. Okay? Okay, now. I'm going to talk about half lotus first, and then pigeon second, actually. Okay, line it back. This is the most important anatomical thing I'm going to be sharing with you, besides everything else. Okay? Both of your hips are okay, and your knees are okay. So pick a side and do half lotus. And hold on to your foot the whole time. Okay, ready to talk about this pose? We haven't been doing it, because I don't teach it to the public, because this is how you hurt knees. And I don't half lotus. Like lotus pose, this is a half lotus. Here. The first thing I'm going to do is tell you the correct alignment for this. Then I'm going to explain to you why there are so many knee injuries in yoga as a result of this situation that's happening. Okay, so first thing is first. To do half lotus correctly, there should be zero space between the top leg and the bottom leg, which is why I like to actually start it in tree. So put your foot into tree with your hands. Pull it all the way in. Now, if you can see my angle, you'll see now there's no more space at all between this leg and that leg. It is absolutely closed. That's first. That's required. Now, she's going to keep this closed, and with her other hand too, she's going to sort of pull her foot up here, so that this heel stays way to the inside of the inner thigh. It never crosses the leg. Because what would happen if this knee crosses the leg? Exactly what I said shouldn't happen. This opens up. See it? See it so far? Okay? So we want to keep it absolutely, completely closed. Now, in her case, go to the deepest place that you can. This is an example of a very open hip. Why do we know that it's an example of that? Because her knee is really close to the floor, and her knee is kind of facing in the direction of forward. If her hip was even more open, meaning more range of motion, then her knee could actually go all the way forward. Now let me show you mine. Oh, that's not the knee that I can as my metal knee. But in my case, you see, look at mine. It's up, and it's more to the side. So that means I have less range of motion in my hip joint than she has. Does that make sense, everybody? Some people have less than me. They might look like this, you know, or they look out to the side. There's a number of ways. Okay, you know, you see on the right side, it's even more complicated for me. Now, okay, so this is the safe, but other than that, she needs to flex this foot radically the whole time. This is correct. Half lotus. Okay? And this is, if the person has no knee injuries at all, this is a safe pose to introduce to people. Because you're lying on your back, it's safe. If you do this sitting up, it's much more dangerous for the knee. But lying down, it's okay, because even if they don't have open hips, they'll just sit there like this. Who cares? That doesn't hurt themselves. I don't teach this to the public, but I want to share this with you no matter what. Alright, now you ready to understand why there's so many knee injuries in yoga? And I mean, like, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands almost every month. Here's why. Okay, now, in order for her, can you come up so I don't want to block you, so just come over here. You can see? In order for her to do what she's doing right now, the joint that had to have action was this one. And the action it had to have was external rotation of the femur. Her femur started here, and now it has to turn. You see that? It has to rotate. Do you notice that? Is that fair enough? I didn't do the pose. It has to rotate. And in her case, yes, externally rotates. The knee joint, we're talking about two joints here. In fact, if you don't mind, let's write down this, please. Write down this question. Because this is the question that you will be asked. Question is, what is the relationship? What is the relationship between the hip joint, the knee joint, the hip joint, the knee joint, lotus pose, and knee injuries? That's our question. ¿Cuál es la relación entre articulación cadera, articulación rodilla, posturas de loto y lesiones de la rodilla? So, the hip joint, articulación cadera, articulación rodilla, postura de loto, and knee injuries, lesiones de la rodilla. Okay, you get it later. Okay, get the question in a minute. Okay, make sure. Okay, ¿cuál es la relación entre articulación cadera, articulación rodilla, posturas de loto y lesiones de la rodilla? Ready to understand the answer? In order for her to do this, I've said her hip has to rotate. Because the hip joint is ball and socket. It's ball and socket, this joint. Ball and socket. The knee, it's a hinge, a bisagra. A bisagra. You understand? Right? Bisagra, right? A hinge. The bisagra. It only opens and closes. It does not twist. It has one dimension of motion. Up, close, open. No twisting the knee. Just like the elbow. Oh, okay. Now, this is how it goes. She can do this because this joint does that. Now, ready? What would happen? Don't do it. What would happen if I grabbed her hip and I did not let it move from this position at all? And then I told her, do lotus. She's going to have to twist the knee. You see this? That's what's happening to everybody in yoga. Because of a lack of range of motion in the hip, a lack of training in the teacher, the ego of the teacher, combining to create a trauma in the knee. This is so common. The problem is the lack of range. So the answer to the question is, when the hip, cuando la cadera, la articulación cadera, no tienen rango de movimiento suficientemente external, está forzando la rodilla a hacer algo fuera de la diseña. En este caso, torsión. En la rodilla no quiere torsión. Esta es la causa de todo el trauma of the knee. Can you visualize it? Can you see it? Yes? This twist? No good? Question.
¿Eso tiene relación con el músculo?
It could be muscular tightness. It could be músculos apretados, que es la causa de falta de movimiento en la cadera. But maybe. But it also could be the joint. But it doesn't matter. What matters, que es importante, es que no está con rango de movimiento en esta día y estás torsionando para forzar loto o algo parecido. See it? This is it. Okay? This is the Ashtanga Vinyasa problem. This is everybody's problem. Nobody studies this. Nobody cares about other people. Let me tell you why I care about this. A lot. You're 25 years old, and you're doing yoga, and you traumatize your knee in the Ashtanga Vinyasa system or any other system. Now you're 25 with a serious knee injury. And the yoga system does not help you to heal your knee in that system. Our system, we heal it. That system, you just keep pushing it and making it worse. Arthritis and more trauma. and then we need to have a surgery, for sure. Well, maybe the surgery goes wrong, and now you have a limp. For the rest of your days, you're limping. You understand? Limp? Right? Well, if you limp for 5 years, do you know what happens to your other hip? It deteriorates. The opposite hip. So now you're 34 years old and you need a hip replacement. Why? A freaking injury in yoga to your knee. Now you need a hip replacement. You're 34. You need a hip replacement. You get your hip surgery. Maybe you just die in surgery, because that can happen. Maybe you have a bad surgery. Okay, maybe it's successful. Good for you. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is serious. Your knees are your mobility. The minute you stop walking, you're going closer to death. That's it. That's your first step to the grave. Mobility is the key. And I'm going to explain in anatomy why that's true from a circulation perspective. But from a physical health perspective, walking is the most important thing. And your knees are for walking. Your knees are not for stupid yoga poses. God did not make your knee for stupid yoga poses. He made it to walk. Okay, maybe to run. Okay. We okay with that? Now, let's do pigeon, and let's show you the other side of this with pigeon, because pigeon is the same idea here. Yeah, other side. Doesn't matter. Close your knee all the way. Close your knee all the way. Okay, the alignment of pigeon. You ready? First is for everybody, like publicly, if you're going to teach this, the knee is absolutely closed. Just like we were describing, it's completely closed with the foot flexed. And this knee literally touches the edge of the mat. This knee touches the edge of the mat. This leg is completely closed. This foot's flexed. And then she wants the top of the back knee on the floor. Okay? From there, she can bring her forearms down and enjoy that. This is not, for her, very challenging. Now, if she wanted to go even crazier, she could come off the ground, bend her knee behind her, and grab her foot behind her back. Yep. But from over top, not like that. This does not work for me. Have you ever seen this thing before? This is just a twist, and that's not the pose. The pose is over your head as an actual back bend. Okay? We don't need to go crazy here. I mean, I couldn't. If I were to look like this, my feet would be this far from my hands. Okay? That's how little I'm going to do this. So we don't teach this unless you really want to. But one way to do it is with a strap. Okay? You could lasso the person's ankle, and then she could reach back and work with this over time, if they want to. This is fun for them or fun for you. Okay? But this is not the kind of thing you're going to be doing in a public setting. Okay? I want to show you some options here. Okay? But now let's talk about my final point with pigeon. This knee has to stay closed. But sometimes they teach you to open it. Have you ever been in a class that tell you to open this knee? Yes. Holy crap. Now, the funny thing is that, yeah, people like her, she can do it. She can open her knee a little bit. Go ahead, open a little bit. Okay? And in her case, because her hip is turning out, like we just talked about, external rotation, her knee is not affected at all. At all. This is cool. Okay, some people with even more open hips than she does will bend their knee out to here, open all the way. Some people will even bend all the way to here. Now, if I personally were to do this, or this, you could call the ambulance and have them take me to the hospital to repair my knee, because I would break my knee. Telling a public class to open their knee in pigeon is so ridiculous. It just could not be any less well trained. It's not that opening it is wrong, it's just that there's so few body types that can do that safely that that you don't announce that to the public. You can tell people privately, and hey, your hips are really open. Okay, if you really want to, you could, but who cares? Okay, I mean, okay, do it, but this is a knee thing, so you gotta be really careful not to tempt people to hurt their knees. Knees are important. Reverse pigeon, go ahead and keep on your back. Much better for knees. I love reverse pigeon because reverse pigeon, you are regulating the pressure with your arms. You're not putting your whole body into it. You know what I mean? So with reverse pigeon, and your foot's so flexed, don't do reverse pigeon. This foot's so flexed, right? Put that through. Go ahead and do it. So in this case, she can decide how much she wants to put in based upon her arms, and she can make sure it feels only where she wants to feel it, or she could back out. But with pigeon, you got your whole body on there, and then you start opening your knee, and you drop your body weight into it, and the knee does not like that. Okay? Good. Relax. Stand. I'm going to go for 5 more minutes or so. I'm going to take a 15-minute break before the food talk. Okay? We only have a few more to cover, and we're going to do it quickly. Triangle, twisting triangle, and half moon. Okay? Let's do it. Triangle, horizontal block. Anyone have that? Okay, great. Now, the thing about triangle is you really know all of it already, because all of it is in the script. So I'm going to review what's in the script. Okay? It's because in the script of triangle, it's really detailed. Some of the other poses, not as much as triangle is in the script. Okay? So what do we got? Legs straight. Bisection, this foot turned in. Toes off the floor. Try to keep them off the floor always, so that you can keep legs straight. I would literally never do triangle with my toes on the floor, not the top toes. Strength, strength. Legs straight, arms straight. You know, she inhales, she enters the pose. To adjust this pose, I'll often grab the top hand or help stack the hips. That's it, okay? The rest of it you know. The legs are strong, the belly's engaged, lengthening of the spine to some degree, lower ribs in, okay? And this is absolutely fun. Simple, because all the rules are already there, okay? Twisting triangle, it's really the same thing. The rules, you've already heard them before. The feet are going to be hips width apart. You're going to be squaring your hips. Let's go right to the poses thing. And then, now she's over rotating here. She's going too far. She wants to stay aligned. But ultimately, the hips want to be square and even. So if I had a cup of tea, I could put it on her pelvis. It shouldn't be on a downward angle like that in an ideal world. Okay? She squares her hips, all from her strength of her legs. And that's what the script is saying. From the strength of your legs, engage your core. And from there, twist your spine. So it's all generated from the leg power. Okay? It's not just a shoulder twist. It's a total body spinal twist. Okay? Very common is they'll turn their head in like that. Try not to let them do that. Try to keep their head in line with the rest of the spine. Okay? Only adjustments I usually make here have to do with squaring the hips. Come on up. The two wide leg forward bends are really simple enough to make sure the feet are even. Feet need to be even and parallel. Okay? And then the first one, the hands are on the floor. Go ahead to right to the pose. And then you have an even line between the heel, the hands, and the heel, the feet, all in one line. That's the first version. Second version is fingers interlaced. Simple enough. Adjustments here. I might come and do my massage. That's it. Not going to push her down too far. Not going to try to get too, into the, how far I can push her. But I am going to do some nice touching here. Interlace your fingers behind your back. This is the pose I got severely injured in by being over-adjusted, by being pushed down, and then having my arms turned around and retwisted like that, and then snap. Okay, so again, I'm very gentle with this massage, maybe 1% down, but certainly not with any intention to push it. Come on up. Last thing is half moon.
Quick question, in that pose, where is I've heard that our weight should be on the front of the feet. Or
the toes up and why leg forward bend so much. It's not as common. Maybe for a moment to squeeze the muscles.
The legs over straight.
Yes. Unless there's an injury in hamstrings. Yeah. Okay, last thing is half movement. Yeah.
Straight is different than block.
Yes. Well, in some cases it's the same, but straight means straight and locked is usually meaning hyperextended. And so you want it to be straight but not hyperextended. And so that's only some people hyperextend their joints. Like I don't. I can straighten my joint all the way and will not hyperextend, so I can really keep my muscles active and my arms completely straight for me, but that's in my case. If I had a bit too much range of motion and I went all the way straight, it would lock out and then it would preclude me from using my strength. Yeah. Good. Okay, half moon. Watch the adjustment carefully, and we're going to practice it either later or soon after, but just watch it for now. With her foot, whatever her foot is down, my opposite foot, so it's her left foot down, my right foot. I'm going to come next to her, foot to foot. See it? Her left foot, my right foot, toes pointing in the same direction. See it? Now I'm going to go leg to leg and hip to hip. I'm kind of supporting her the whole way. And then I can help her, push her onto me as I pull her. Push, pull. So she's kind of like, locking her into me, And then I can grab her top hand. This is my adjustment. Okay? Very stable. Very good. Foot to foot, leg to leg, hip to hip. Shoulder, hip over hip, shoulder over shoulder. The alignment here, of course, is not to hyperextend the knee. Woo. Keep the leg squeezing strong. Mulavana kind of stuff. Barbie foot. It's not a Barbie foot. That's a flex foot. That's right. Oh, it's good there. Okay, and then everything's stacked. Good. Come on. Good. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going to have another day of adjustments, which is going to be advanced adjustments. Much more challenging things, like how to help people with the one-legged thing, how to help people find new twists, and how to deal with the fish poses, and like a whole other, like what I call level 2 of working with people physically. But this is the standing poses, okay? This is what you got to practice for next week. And then when I'm ready and I feel like you're a bit more developed in your hands, then we'll go into this second level of more challenging